philosopher, and also a lawyer. St. Moses, you're welcome to this program.
Thank you very much, moderator. Good morning, Nigerians.
From my immediate left, I have Barrister Chukwuemeka Nwogu, the immediate past public affairs complaint of the state, what they call the ombudsman. He's a lawyer and also a security consultant. Barrister Emeka Nwogu, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you, moderator. Good day, Nigerians.
Today we'll be starting with the Saturday Sun. What we have here at the Saturday Sun says Boko Haram has superior weapons. That is what the federal government is alleging. And the Ohaneze Indigbo and the Feni Ferry are saying there is immediate need for state police. The question now is, most states cannot afford to pay salaries and so on. How are they going to manage with the state police, assuming it's approved? Let me start with you, St. Moses Obunda.
Yeah, I think I completely agree with the Ohaneze Ndigbo and the Afenifere. And with a little amendment. I also want every Nigerian to consider seriously that because of the security situation in the country, let us, in addition to state police, all the policemen that are Igbos should go to Igbo land, be transferred to Igbo land. All the policemen that are of Yoruba extraction should go to Yoruba land. All the policemen, including army, whatever security apparatus we have, should be sent to their states, to man their states, so that we will know how this infiltrators, a situation where it is being alleged and nothing is being done, that when a kidnapper is coming to collect his ransom, very close to army checkpoint, and the people want to grab the kidnappers, and the army will come and protect the kidnappers against the people. And when it is investigated deeper, you see that these kidnappers are members of the Boko Haram. From what one may say is not Nigerian extraction, of not Igbo extraction. And the military that they are coming is not of Igbo extraction. You see, on Mondays, every Mondays, there's a sit at Tomilaba. If you go away, all the Fulanis and Hausa people on these Mondays, you cannot see army on the road. You cannot see policemen on the road protecting the citizens. But you go to where the armies and where the Hausas and the Fulanis are selling their market. There's a full market. There's a whole lot of army protecting them. This gives everybody, or people who are around, the impression that the army and the police, who ought to be on the street on those days to protect the citizens, are not interested in the welfare, the life and security of the citizens, but are interested in the lives and the protection and security of a particular people. So, in order to be, I was one of the persons that opposed the police, state police formation. But from what is happening now, and because we are approaching a national election, a period that, if you follow what is the things that are going on, it appears miraculous to have the election in 2020 without crisis, without killings and the massacre of lives of the people. So I think I support the Afenifere and the Ohanaeze that National Assembly, if they will be proactive, if they will be alive to what is happening now, to legislate that every state should have their own police, recruited by them. Once again, I will tell you that no governor, we call them the chief security officers of the state. No governor is a chief security of a state. The governors do not take orders. The commissioners of police don't take orders from the governors. The armies don't take orders from the governors. Except even in the case of Abia, where we have the Homeland Security, we don't even understand what they do. So the security situation, as it is in Abia, and as it is every other place, calls for us to have a reflection and to begin to think how every locality will be able to secure its needs.
All right, from what St. Moses has said about, not just about the state police, and that it is also important that all the security men and women should serve in their various states. And that is a way, it will be a headway towards a security balance in our various states. Barrister Emeka Nwoko, I want us to look at these state policing. How will it be funded? Will the federal government assist? Or will it be entirely done by the state? If that is true, do the states have the capacity, the financial capacity to fund it?
Well, I know that from the Federation account, security is funded centrally. If we get to the level and stage of having state police, then that aspect of the funding reserved for central security will now be distributed to the states accordingly. Just like St. Moses said, yours truly here, previously, I also wasn't in support of state police, because I was one of those that kept believing and hoping that the central security system being run by the federal government would eventually come round to being what was expected of it. The fear has always been that the governors would turn the security of state police to private and personal guards for political vendetta. That has always been the fear. But I would say and observe that most unfortunately, whether that is true or not, pales out against what we are witnessing presently today. It has become archaic and old-fashioned and out of place for us to continue to have only the Nigeria police the way it is today. We should have the federal police. We should also have state police commands. And that would, of course, mean amending the Constitution to accommodate such a situation. It's not going to be an easy task. In addition to having state police, or maybe even before the constitutional amendment would be secured, because it's going to take quite some time to do that, to pass it and get to the consent of the respective state houses of assembly. I am looking also at what the governor of Zamfara advocated, whereby certain members of society who have distinguished themselves in reasonable and responsible standing in society would be profiled and licensed to bear arms, firearms. A situation where in a particular part of the country where we have known them to be belligerent and they've officially been labeled terrorists, that is Boko Haram, then they have metamorphosed into bandits, from there to killer headsmen and so on and so forth, or bearing sophisticated weapons as acknowledged by the federal government. A situation where you now come down south, particularly in southeast, and mop up the firearms earlier on licensed by holders. When they now bring them in for revalidation, the police holds onto it and says we are directed to mop up these arms. That is leaving the people completely defenseless and at the mercy of these killers by whatever name called, whether killer headsmen, whether bandits, whether Boko Haram, whether ISWAP, anything you like call them. You cannot disarm the people and then fail to provide security for them. The right of self-defense is inalienable. It is conferred on each person, each human being a human being. You don't need a law to provide for it that if somebody is trying to kill you, you have the right to defend yourself. If in the process of defending yourself, you thankfully succeed in killing the other person, all well and good. And I will continue to make this point as a lawyer, that you do not need any person to tell you protect and defend yourself and your family. If somebody tries to kill your family and you have a way of protecting them and defending them, go ahead and do so. Drastic times equally necessitate drastic measures. We have now gotten down to that situation where we are left with no choice than to own our security, take up our security in our own hands. The government cannot continue to be like the proverbial dog in the manger. Eat grass, it will not eat. Allow other animals to eat, it will not. Protect the people. The federal government is unable to do so. Allow the people to protect themselves. No, you don't protect yourself. Allow yourself to be killed by terrorists and bandits. That is most unreasonable. Such a situation cannot be allowed to stand.
All right, thank you. Barristers Moses Ogbonna. Please, we from this Kuje prison break, we also heard that about 6 major financiers of these Boko Harams also escaped from the prison. And the question the public, so many of us are asking, if these financiers are known, why would they have been there now without prosecuting them?
You see, the problem is not even whether they were there and were not prosecuted. Because the circumstances that had made them not to be prosecuted. The woman was saying, no. It's for the authorities of the Kuje prison, those who arrested them, to say. But what we are saying is, all the signals that were received, because we are talking about the security, why was Kuje invaded? If Kuje was successfully invaded, were there security intelligence report that alarmed and signaled the authorities that such attack was imminent?
Mm-hmm.
If such an attack was imminent, was it utilized? Who was supposed to utilize the signal? If that person that was supposed to utilize the signal was not to have received the signal, who is he? Why was he not able to utilize it? What is he now saying? It makes it It's very funny for anybody to tell me that 800 Boko Haram, dangerously armed to the teeth, including financiers of Boko Haram, escaped today. And you are appealing to a person who have hitherto disarmed, withdrawn my little
defense,
then gone. I have in my home. You are now appealing to confront them and they bring them back to you. Is that not a mockery? It's a mockery. We are mocking the city. We are toying with the security of the people. We are toying with our lives. We are mocking with our bread. I am thinking that if the authorities say they do not know and they want to tell us that they are not part and parcel of what terrorism that is happening in this country, the question ought to have been, how long have you heard this? In which court have you charged them? What process, legal process have been put in place to convict them or to set them free? No. You see, the problem in this country is that we tend to, like we said yesterday, use grammar, appeal to the people to sympathize with you. Imagine the federal government coming to tell us that the Boko Harams have superior power.
That is a most, with due respect, a most
when
idiotic,
we have witnessed the same federal government
most unreasonable
asking the
statement.
National Assembly to approve a loan, very huge sum of money, for the procurement of arms.
And it was done several times.
And because it borders on security, this appeal to the National Assembly proposals were approved. How can they not have superior power when you kidnap
and you paid them ransom?
and you pay ransom to the people unchallenged?
Maybe the government also pays.
And they are paying to the people billions of naira, which even our police and the army do not have. You add it to the one you have procured. Are you waiting for when they send aircrafts to bomb us before you know that they are fully financially equipped to have any manner of ammunition they need? See, if we are sincere to ourselves, we will look at what is happening and begin to ask questions. What do the federal government need to do? Security situation in this country has gone beyond calling people army and the police out, because our army is ill-equipped. Our police is ill-equipped. Look at Abia, for instance. There is no police headquarters here in Abia that has vehicle. If you are attacked and you call any of the DPOs to come to send his men, he will tell you they have no vehicle except they are able to hire. And this is a state where we have security votes. And these security votes are supposed to be used to secure the people.
Sorry, question. What happened to the vehicles all this while donated by successive administrations in the past, both at state level the local government level and so on. Because you and I, we've been part of government administration at some point in time, and we know at different levels that the chairman of local governments under Algon procure, yes, and give. Several governors in the past have always done so. Periodically, they come out and donate these vehicles. Sometimes we now see those vehicles being used to carry cassava. I have seen cassava stem, rice, and so on. That is not what those vehicles, and if you see any of those vehicles on the road, it has no functional light, all the lights are broken. The thing is as if a tinker man beat it up with, or a panel beater with a sledgehammer, battered those vehicles, and they are shaking. They can't even pursue keke napep, talk less of another vehicle. Why are those vehicles in those conditions? We also need to ask those questions. When we speak to the police, why
donates from your security vote to the police? You monitor them.
You and I know that is not possible. The police are not answerable to the government. Not even a constable.
Hold their temperatures. Not this bracket of security vote. This security vote comes from the governors. And the governors have a right to ask you, the vehicle we gave to you the other day,
yes,
what are you using it for?
Yes.
You cannot tell me that if I am entitled to give you arms for nomination as a policeman, as a DPO, in Asiama, in what do you call it? Cameroon Road Barracks. CPS. From my security vote. Why these security votes were passed through the governors was for the governors to make sure it is given to them and they monitor it.
For your personal
use. I remember the day I had a problem with the police. And a policeman shot a KK person. In the end, we thought it was a policeman when it was a member of a vigilante group. And the police was shielding him because he brings information and the money to them. When we insisted, that man was shielded. And we say he must be brought out. We are not giving gun to start shooting innocent people. Because every police headquarter here should have a governor's SA or assistant to monitor what they do. That is why the government set up what they call Homeland Security. The Homeland Security is not supposed to be a force of its own. It's supposed to monitor what happens in security. Now you give vehicles to the police and the citizen has problem. And they call the police. The police says we don't have vehicle. When they are supposed to have vehicle. And remember that the bulk of this state stops at the desk of the governor.
I would like us to be realistic. Let's not, to use your own words, St. Moses, let us not blow too much grammar on this. You have told us what is expected. Okay? In philosophy, you and I know that is called the role expectation. Now let us look at role behavior. What actually obtains on ground at the end of the day. You and I know, I keep on emphasizing that no governor can give orders to a police constable and order him to obey it whether he likes it or not. Not to talk of the commissioner of police. They will always refer to their superiors before they, and by the time they finish with all this bureaucracy and back, whatever it is that wants to happen has finished happening.
Sir, do you know we have what we call security meetings?
I've been part of it at various levels, you know. Having been
what is being discussed today? Can you tell me?
what you discuss majorly is security. Let me come to let me land. Okay. Let me land. Okay. Now that security discussed at that level is usually limited to intelligence and funding. Intelligence and funding.
Yes.
And when you give the funding, you cease to have a control. Remember what I said about ordering as against persuasion. You know, you tell the person, and then that particular security committee is advisory. You and I know it is advisory. It is different from a situation where you can give orders, directives, and say, gentlemen, do this. I'm the chief security officer in this place, and then the buck stops at my table. The buck stops at the table of the governors only in theory. Only in theory. So I still maintain that we need to have a constitutional amendment to give teeth to the governors to accommodate this position we are talking about. If we do not do it, then we are not making headway. Besides, let us, a situation where, as we have witnessed, let us look at Kuje. That's where we started from. You have some soldiers, gallant officers, fine soldiers. They go out on a mission and they engage these terrorists. In the process, some of the soldiers are killed. They lose their lives. They pay the supreme price. And then they catch some of these terrorists. Maybe their bullets are finished, or they've wounded them, captured them, and bring them back and hand over to their superiors. After a while, you as a soldier, you now get to learn that the person you captured has now been, in quotes, rehabilitated by the federal government and then integrated into the army
or police.
That is one scenario. Another scenario is that the man you captured, after a while, is released. You go back on a mission some other time. It could be a year or two, it doesn't matter. And then you now discover that the same man you had captured, who killed your colleague, is now again fighting you. What do you think it will do to the morale of the soldiers? There's no way it can go down well with them. That is exactly what we are facing. When those terrorists are officially integrated into the forces as security men, they go there, they learn the techniques of the army. That is why they are able to know almost everything about the military. If they want to ambush soldiers now, they do it with so much ease because they equally have the same training. They know the layout and everything, operational details of the soldiers. That is the problem we are having.
All right, our wonderful viewers, the issue of security in Nigeria is more or less a mirage. And if we continue talking about it, I'm not sure we're going to look at other trending issues in our national dailies. And for now, we are going to go on a very short break, and when we come back, we shall continue. Don't go away. Remember, still your darling station, Living TV, where we bring the world first to you. Stay tuned and don't touch the dial.
Admission is ongoing at Living TV Film Academy, Aba, Abia State, for candidates wishing to study filmmaking and mass communication for skill certificate training and degree programs, including mandatory NYSC post-degree service. Courses offered are Department of Journalism and Media Studies, Broadcast Journalism, TV Presentation, Filter Journalism, Department of Film and Multimedia Studies, Cinematography, Acting, Video Editing, Film Production, Website Designing, Modeling and Makeup, Bead Making, Screenwriting, Theatre Arts, Department of Broadcasting, Script Writing, Journalism, Reporting, Software Programming, Mobile and Web App Development, Audio Production, Graphic Designing, Digital Animation, Special Effects, Social Media Management. Entry qualifications. Candidates must possess 5 credits in WASICAM GCE, NAPTEB or equivalents. We have the following technical infrastructure for students' skills acquisition: an arts theatre well equipped for modern digital television and radio studios open for hire to the public. an audio suite for music production, soundtracks, sound effects, jingles and voice-over, etc. Our 50 feet by 40 feet chroma studio, largest in
Wonderful viewers, you're welcome. And we are back on air. Remember, still the national dailies. Today, I still have my discussants, Barrister, Said Moses Obunna. He's a lawyer, a philosopher, and a public affairs analyst. I also have Barrister Chukwuemeka Wogo. Barrister Chukwuemeka Wogo is also a lawyer and also a security consultant. We are back on it. On this one, we're going to look at this trending issue that has been on with a popular, if I say popular, I think I'm right, a popular pastor in Onitsha called Odumeje. And this heading says, Odumeje's adherents declare spiritual war on Soludo. And not just that, they say Anambra governor won't go unpunished for demolishing church. And that is what they are saying. And is this a threat or what? Is it supposed to be that way?
Well, you see, the stories have gone back and forth. Even a statement credited to a representative of the church said that the church building was not demolished, that it was part of their fence. At another time, that it was a security building belonging to the church that was demolished, the one actually. But they seem to have this agreement that a part of the structure belonging to the church was obstructing the natural drainage channel.
Okay.
Yes. Then the Anambra State government also has put it out in the public domain that the church was actually served with an abatement notice, which they failed to adhere to, and then the government gave notice that it was going to demolish that building. Down here in the southeast, where we are predominantly Christians, several businessmen masquerading as clergymen give us the impression that, anytime you try to correct the church or say that its officials have stepped out of line, that you are attacking God. Just like sometimes when you say the state government shouldn't have done something in a particular way, and you now suggest a better way it will be done, and it will be said that, oh, you are attacking the governor of that state, things like that. They will say you are attacking God. That is not right. For them to declare spiritual warfare, it exhibits the lack of knowledge on the part of the church members, because the Bible makes us to know that the church is under the secular government, and indeed counseled us to obey the authorities for our own good. That is what the Bible says. For them to now begin to act otherwise means they are acting outside the Bible, and that is unchristian.
Okay, let's just take it that much from you. Sir Moses Obunna, a threat, a spiritual threat, a spiritual threat, is it considered as a threat?
God is not a slave that people use him anyhow to threaten him. If your threat is right, and you are appealing to God to carry it out, God will look at you, whether you are right in the first place, before he can obey your command. Say, command ye me doesn't mean when you are wrong. You see, if what the governor of Anambra State is saying, or the government official is saying, that it is not the main church building, it is the area of the fence or security building that was not authorized by the authority given to the church, town planning authority given to the church to build. It does not matter whether it is a church. Once you violate the law of the state, I do not want to share his opinion that he's a businessman. I also recognize him as a man of God.
I didn't say this particular one. I said I was speaking generally. I said businessmen who are masquerading as pastors.
That's I don't believe Pastor Odumeje.
I didn't say Odumeje is a businessman. I said generally, businessmen
who
are masquerading.
Hears from God and it lets us believe that he hears from God. Ought to have known that the same God is talking about. We tell him not to disobey the authorities of the land. So the threat, if he is a man of God, he also should believe that God will not hear him.
The members, these are the members, the adherents of the church, not.
It does not.
Who will push them to do that? Who will exhort them to do that? If not the leader.
They may have been observers of what happened.
Yes, if they were all there that day, believe you me that they would also have maybe attacked.
Listen, if what those people were doing was wrong, was against God, in Jesus' name, all of them will fall down. But because what they were carrying out is a lawful duty.
Okay,
which they themselves violated.
It's all right. Because of our time, the governor ordered sanction on security personnel who assaulted the cleric Odumeje. Is it as a result of fear of the threat?
No. Remember that yesterday, clearly everybody came out condemning. Yes, it was most uncalled for. Not because it was on Odumeje. I said on any citizen, on any human being, that was most uncalled for. There was no belligerence. Yes, a man whose property is being demolished would naturally be agitated and may be trying physically to stop the people from demolishing it, appealing to their conscience and so on and so forth. Yes, but for somebody to now slap him from the back, another will push him, another will slap him, another will cock his rifle and threaten to shoot him. I mean, that was most unfair. That was excess, and
I think that
they acted in excess of the use of force. Yes. The force used was unreasonable in the circumstance and was most uncalled for. So, for the governor to say that the particular officer should be sanctioned in accordance with the law, that is correct, and I agree absolutely with the governor on that.
And in fact, our policemen need to be trained. You don't use violence, you don't apply violence on the citizen. Even ordinary notice of invitation, the citizen will come. You see policemen who are giving huge sum of money just to come to your house, arrest you at the midnight, and assault you, detain you without even going into the merits of the matter. Just for the other person to say yes, to start boasting. Yes, I have arrested you.
Or arrest you, remove your shirt. In church, it happened in somewhere in Imo State. A popular politician, they came to the church, picked him as if he was a kidnapper, removed his church wear. He was wearing only singlet. Then they snapped him and posted it on the internet. That was all they were. That was all the policemen wanted. That was most.
That's what they do to the police. The police is ought to be a friend of the citizen.
That's why when you say the police is your friend, people will say, which friend?
All right, well, let us take another heading that says the following announcement that Peter Obi, the presidential candidate of Labour Party, has officially chosen one man, Yusuf Datti Baba, as the running mate. Now that the network, the social media has gone agog, the youths are over happy. What is special about Peter Obi and this Datti Baba, his running mate, that the youth are so happy about?
Well, they are young. Both of them are young. Peter Obi, if you look at amongst the, would I say, trending presidential candidates, Peter Obi seems to be the person closest to the youth, their age bracket. And then for him to not equally pick somebody younger than he is equally endearing himself more to the youth. But I will always say that you don't vote on the internet. You don't vote on it. Is one thing to make all the noise and shout. If you do not go and get your PVC, and then on the day of election, it's one thing to equally get registered and have your PVC. It's another thing on the day of election to come out brave the either rain or scorching sun, endure, have patience, and cast your vote before any other thing could happen. So it's a long process, but for the young, yes, that is why they are excited. That is why they are excited.
All right,
you see my point about the youth's incitement over this young person and all that gets me crazy, because it appears this youth lack memory.
Or knowledge.
Knowledge.
Memory
it's
or
not
knowledge.
your age that determines what you do.
Yeah.
How many years was Gowon when he became the
Military president.
military president? At what age was Zika now, the rest of them? From military regime of Aguiyi to Gowon, down to Obasanjo, were they very old? The only person I think that was old is just Buhari.
But let me ask you, while you are answering, you could still take it. How old is Tinubu?
Tinubu is not president.
No, we are looking at the age of the presidential candidate. How old is Tinubu?
Listen now, I am coming.
Because it has remained a mystery.
Wait now, I am coming. If the youths are jumping up because of Obi and his running mate, it appears to me that they believe it is because of the age of Buhari that keeps Nigeria the way Nigeria is.
It is contributory.
Wait, listen, it's not true. It is whom Buhari is and the people that puts him there. The agenda they have. Because every political party and its presidential president have their agenda.
Don't you also think that the antecedents of the duel could be a contributing factor to this their jubilation?
You see now, there's a funny something you said, that Obi said he won't give shish.
Yes, and his running message will give Shingai.
Is it only true that we govern this country?
No.
Will they be the governors of the 36 states?
No.
Will they form the executives of the 36 states? Let me tell you, apart from Buhari, who is a government that is old? Mention, okay, Sibas is now old. Governor of Imo State, is he an old man? Governor of Rivers State, is he an old man?
No.
Will you call these people old people?
What about the ministers?
The ministers, are they old people? Is it Buhari that determines what happens in Abia State, that happens in the Rivers, that happens in Imo?
The policies they make at the center equally affect the state.
Tell me which center
The national.
that does not give allocation to the states.
Think about the security settings of this country.
Because we have insecurity, no state can plan well. No state can plan well.
Just one item.
If you do not have security, no other thing can take place. You can't build. You can't send the contractors to build roads. There is no food that people are you aware that people are no longer going to the farms? Farmers are no longer going to the farms. Women are being raped and killed in the farms. It translates to hunger, starvation, no food. The roads will not be constructed because when the contractors go there to construct these roads, the boys will come there and beat them. So nothing gets done. Nothing. People can't go to school. People are not
Outside the protection of property and
security is number one. It should be paramount. Security is paramount. Yeah. And that even constitutionally, that the primary responsibility of government is what? Security. That's the number one duty of government to the people.
Is it the security that helps our unemployment?
When you do not have security,
it's not
you cannot plan.
Listen, I'm
security is number one.
Everybody to say that why this country is failing is just because of security. It's not true.
Security affects every other thing.
Listen, I agree that
proper security in every nation there will be no investment and development.
Do you know that security is not just security of lives and property. We have job security.
Yes.
We have commercial security.
Yes.
Food.
We have food security. We have which one did they?
Even emotional.
Which one?
Even emotional for women.
Everything about security.
As the president of Nigeria, the buck stops at
He's
the commander in chief of the armed forces.
As the chief security, as the president of this country, the buck of the federal issues stops at his step.
And most of those issues are that exclusive legislative list. The states cannot legislate on that. The states cannot legislate. The states cannot independent. Look at me, you're not talking about supporting Nigeria. Stop at the core and the where terrorists have been unleashed on the society.
What have the government done?
That prisons is under exclusive legislative list.
Listen,
These issues, once you do not have security,
I do not want to say that it is only the president that contributes to the problem of this nation. It's not true. The governors have their own.
I agree.
Listen, let me tell you.
I agree.
A state government has a right to secure these people when the federal government has failed.
I disagree.
Wait, now let me tell you why.
I disagree.
Let me tell you why now.
They cannot do it if the federal government. A clear example is what happened in Unochi when the president was kidnapped. Even when youth went there to demonstrate, what happened? The federal forces, the military under the federal government, worked against the people. And the people are under the control of the governor of the state. And there was nothing anybody could do it till today. Even the governor has not been. Will the governor go there to challenge the
federal government stop the governors from paying salaries?
Let's finish this.
Let's deal with the security of arms.
Before the governors form their, we know we have vigilante groups.
Yes.
Not formed by the federal government.
Exactly.
Formed by the state government.
Yes.
So do what?
To secure lives and property.
How?
By arming them.
Did they have them? Listen, let me tell you.
With what?
Listen, let me tell you.
We go.
Listen, not God.
With the money. When they said but it's not armed with it as needed by the federal government.
You don't need the sophisticated weapons to trash a man with sophisticated weapons. I want to tell you how sophisticated Goliath was. Unsophisticated David finished him. It's intelligent. Let me tell you, there is no state in this country, no federal government, no man belongs to federal government, no state. You cannot stand on your local government. You cannot stand on your community. You can only stand on your village. And everything that happens in this country happens in a village. And everybody in that village knows when they say they're in the forest. Which forest? Where are the forests? In the village. And with the villagers.
With what?
Good.
Let the weapons are brought up by the security forces. Villagers have been disarmed.
You are always looking at the weapons. These people with sophisticated
So will you go to confront bandits with catapults?
That fights a man with a gun.
That man with a gun can only be subdued with intelligence. It is intelligence that is used in fighting security.
That's for those of us who learned kung fu and karate.
Listen, let me tell you. If all the police headquarters have drones, for instance, and there is an attack at Opobo Junction,
You're making a point there.
you do not need a motor from police to locate them. What you first of all send is drone. The drone will tell you, When 300 people are sent to invade Kuje, my brother, 300 people is a crime.
It's a crime.
It's not people who sneaked in. It is not people who will chase with motorcycles and vehicles. You use superior weapon. Superior weapon is not aiming. Superior weapon is intelligence, gathering of information, sending drone on air that will be chasing them. You will be telling your men they are at Opopo Junction. They are moving towards.
And what will your men?
But that of Kuje,
When you are and they have weapons better than your men have, what will your men do?
Listen, that of Kuje never happened in 1 minute.
yes,
I agree.
yes, yes.
Why I am not referring to Kuje is because the Kuje is telling me that there are people who want to do a thing that fail to do that.
Exactly. It was a
Whether they did it, just did it because they want to do it. But I am saying about securities in the rural areas. All right, you see happening at the production. A key person of 2 or 3 came to our side here and shot 2 people. Very close to Etiama police station. Nothing happened. Nobody traced them. How do you trace them? Who will trace them?
please, gentlemen,
People believe that these people are
superhuman.
They are superhuman. They are not.
There is condition set on the part of elements of the federal government.
yes, let us apply intelligence.
I agree also.
Intelligence is a super thing and might be stronger than weapons. Might be stronger than weapons of our warfare. I agree with that. And then let us look at the nation quickly before we go today. There are 3 all progressive governors that visited River State recently, and then it was in a closed door meeting. The journalists were all locked out and they were not allowed inside. But after that meeting, rumors went haywire that Tinubu has sent them. They want to woo him to APC and so on. What is special about River State and Nyesom Wike? We learned about Atiku's his disagreement with Atiku, and now Tinubu APC now coming to him. What is special about that? I am asking you.
Okay. It's a Wike occupies a very special position in PDP. He is a man I adore very much. He is like me, who looks people in the eye and tell them where they are wrong. And people like that are always being afraid of. That's why PDP appears to have denied him everything they ought to use him to do. But I think that Wike is tied down by his earlier pronouncement that whether this thing favors him or not,
That he cannot leave.
that he cannot leave. And people of honor who are bound by what they say are reluctant to break it because of the attacks of what people do to them. I think that Tinubu believes that if he can get Wike, he will get other of his friends who believes in Wike. I think that is why he's doing that. But if anybody tells me that a reasonable Nigerian who has experienced what we are going through can simply join a presidential candidate simply because another person who is in authority, who has been chopping this country, who has been bringing us to where we are, says you should vote for him. I don't think in the way we are now, anybody can do that. Everybody is left to his conscience to vote whom he believes that will serve this country, not whom he is voting for because somebody else directive.
All right, because of time, Barrister Nwogu, do you think this idea of looking for Wike, both PDP, APC, and every other presidential candidate I don't think it's because of the treasury in Rivers State?
And that could be a factor. But again, Wike has over time demonstrated that he is a force to be reckoned with in his own right. He has stood against federal forces and prevailed just as one governor, without even the backing of any other governor. And that is a man that if you have on your side in anything, you could be rest assured that you are well grounded. He wouldn't make all the difference alone, certainly not. But rather than have him as an opponent, as an enemy, it will pay you best to have him as a friend. They know this, and that's why they're all going for him.
All right, finally, let us just look at the Punch briefly before we call it quit today. The former governor of Kano State, governor and presidential candidate of NNPP, Rabiu Kwankwaso, who is standing as a presidential candidate for 2023, said, and is quoted as saying in an interview with the Punch, that the Igbos, they are still at the bottom of national politics.
It's most unfortunate when I read that comment credited to him. I think it's most unfortunate for such a man to make such a statement. Posterity will judge who is where at the end of the day. He's by that statement, I think he's trying somehow in a way to arrogate to himself the absolute power of God, which politically he does not even have. He wasn't able to win primaries in his own party, and he had to defect to another party. If he is that strong, he could have gotten it. Let's just leave it at that.
Okay, shortly before we go, don't you think, Barristers and Moses, don't you think he had said this because of considering what happened at these primary elections, both in APC and PDP, both by the vice presidents, the running mates of all these three major political parties, none came from the Igbo extraction. Don't you think that is what led to that statement?
When you isolate politics, people like you isolate politics to mean government, but being a government. That means you don't spare a moment thinking about what you say. Because when you talk about politics, talk about government in power, talk about economic power, you talk about other powers that are shit that can be politicized to actualize. When you say Igbos are the bottom of Nigerian politics, where has any economic power, the economy of this country, stood without the Igbos? The commercial power. The Igbos are there. My only worry is that the Igbos do not understand properly the intricacies of political
Power.
movement. No, the movements to actualize political power. What we understand is the economic aspect of the power. That is why we have not realized that economic power is superior to political power. If we have realized that economic power is superior to political power, we would have used our economic weapon to grab the political power. One Igbo man who will want a political power is ready to sell the whole area market for him to become ordinary councillor, for him to become ordinary
Local
government chairman. He says all his people who have the economic power for him to actualize all the firing and the watering he is promising. That is why people like Kwankwaso, because they were able to hoist themselves on political power. In fact, without any economic power, they now look down on the Igbos and say they are at the bottom. We are not at the bottom.
All right, so
he will not even come fifth in the presidential race.
Okay.
He may not even be among the first 5.
Shortly before we go on a lighter mood, the Attorney General and the Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, yesterday took one of President Buhari's daughters, known as Nana Hadiza, as his 3rd wife.
My dear brother, you see, this nation, as some people will say, this nation na cruise. You see, we've gotten to descended to a level where we now see.
What's your problem on that?
No, let me make the point. We now see the Nigerian state. We now see the Nigerian state as something. You know, its administration can be sexually transmitted. That is no. I mean, that's neither here nor there for God's sake.
You know, the sexual transmission in administration.
That is what some of them think. In those olden times that you marry to make alliances and so on and so forth, you see all this feudal mentality.
There is this other wonderful statement
the using marital power over political.
This other statement I love so much, because most often when we talk about governance and also political powers, it looks as if brothers in the other side, the Muslims, they are not part of the looting and so on. But a cleric, an Islamic cleric said, Allah does not accept salarams bought with stolen money.
I think Sir Moses made that point that God is not your one boy that you can command. Yes, that belief has always been there that people, maybe the Igbos are giving more to be doing funny and shady deals. But remember that all the times that we've had high-profile swallowing of money, the one swallowed by snake, the one swallowed by a monkey, the one swallowed by python, and the one where one man alone stole 80 billion naira. None of them came from the southeast.
That's true.
From a particular, just one whole section of the country.
That's not the question I ought to have asked. Any salary I'm giving to anybody, is it given to God?
That's exactly where I was coming to.
It's not given to
You can't bribe God.
Let me tell you, most of the tithes we give to church, into the church, it's not given to God.
Has nothing to do with
But
it.
God.
But it's a topic for another day.
For another day.
It's a topic for another day.
The cleric was very right. That the salary we are giving to a person,
But we stolen money.
even if you buy it with genuine money, and it does not
it's
come
not
from
out
your
of the
heart, if it does not come from your heart, you will hear yourself when people are thanking you. People around you will also hear them thanking you, but God will notice.
And finally, I would probe past government officials if elected as president, says Peter B.
Of course, that's a wise move by
That,
him. That he will not, even if he intends to do that, even if he will do it, I don't expect him to come out and say he will probe anybody.
Southeast states that wasted his time pursuing his presidency.
Yes.
And in the event he was caught removed, he had no name in his state. God told Lot when they were leaving Sodom
And Gomorrah.
say, run your race.
Don't look back.
Don't look back. Any government that wants to achieve anything, move forward. Don't look back. If you are looking back, you will be looking back.
All right, our wonderful viewers, that's the much we're going to take for today. Any government that wants to succeed and achieve, success, you must not look back. It is a biblical injunction, and that is where we are ending our newspaper review today. It is a statement credited to be that is not going to probe any of the past government officials if elected as president. We wish him luck. Yeah, today it has been your wonderful discussants, Barrister and Moses Ogbonna.
Thank you very much, and be with us another day.
And the security consultant and also a lawyer, Barrister Chukwemeka Nwoko.
Thank you, and see you next time.
And this is Chideduma DLA signing off, asking you to continue watching Living TV, where we bring the world first to you. Thank you.